Welcome to another edition of Mind, Body, and Spirit. I'm your host, registered dietitian Karen Kowalix. On today's show, a local actress will share how a mission trip to Guatemala gave birth to a new role in her life. And the combined loss of 150 pounds transformed the lives of Chris and Debbie Perrone, who are with us today. Their story is remarkable not only because of the amount of weight lost, but because it began after Chris was hit by an SUV. And finally, did you know the roots of healthy eating began in Cleveland, Ohio? Some local dietitians are here to talk about the 100th anniversary of the American Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And we'll also preview a food tasting event coming up in Akron to celebrate National Nutrition Month. All that plus my health tip segment coming up next on Mind, Body, and Spirit.
It's a healthy start to a new day. It's a healthy start to a new day. It's a healthy start to a new day. It's a healthy start to a new day.
A trip to Guatemala changed the life of our next guest. On a whim, she decided to tag along with a friend who was on a mission to build houses. And just 2 short years later, NancyTelzerow is now the Director of Operations of the group that sponsored the trip, Chime In, and she joins me today. Welcome to the program, Nancy.
Thank you for having me, Karen.
So tell us about Chime In. What does it stand for and what is its mission?
Well, Chime In stands for the Change Is Me International. And basically, it's youth ambassadors that work with adult mentors, and together we try to affect change. And the hope is that it would be sustainable, better for the environment, better for the communities around us.
So the first time you went to Guatemala, how did that come to be? And did you ever imagine yourself in a developing nation? And
No. And it was crazy how it happened, because I literally went to visit my friends in California, and they had a bunch of guests over, and they were all talking about Guatemala, and I said, what's up with Guatemala? And they said, we're going there. And I said, really? For what? They said, we're going to build houses for the poor. And I said, oh my gosh, how long will you be there? They said 8 days. And then I thought, well, how much does it cost? And they said, well, basically your plane ticket, and we provide housing, or you can, stay in a hotel if you prefer. And then in my head, like with a snap of a finger, I said, okay, can I go?
And this is something you've never done before?
Never done, never had any desire to do, never thought to do, have no inclination toward it. But I said, if my friend can go, I could go. And it's only 8 days out of my life, why not?
You must be one heck of a volunteer, because now you're running the group.
Yeah. Well, a little bit. I'm not running the group, but I am in charge of the dot the I's, cross the T's sort of thing. So yeah, I was very involved and very happy to interact with these people. These youth ambassadors are amazing. They come from all over the world, Uganda, Australia, the UK, the United States, Colombia, Guatemala, where we just went, and they're so amazing to be around. I'm really fortunate to be able to be part of the organization.
So tell us, what was it like when you went on your recent trip? What were you doing? What were the people like?
Well, we went to Colombia, and then we went to Guatemala. And in Colombia, it was more of a learning experience than it was a service trip. And we learned all about organic farming and permaculture and things that I'd never known about. We got to stay in a hotel that was built out of all bamboo, and we learned how to build compost toilets. And then we went to Guatemala, and we built a house for the poor. There were 5 houses, but I worked on one house.
Were these people living in homes currently, or they didn't have homes?
They basically have crude homes from things that they gather. Maybe they go to the dump to get it, or maybe they find it locally on the street, and it's whatever they can find to build what would be a structure, really. It's hard to call it a home, but a lot of times they have leaking ceilings and all of that sort of thing. So when we build these houses, suddenly they have actual shelter.
Now, did you have any construction experience? I know you're an actress by trade, but
No.
You're probably one of the most feminine women I know. I can't imagine you doing construction work.
No, me, I couldn't either. And it's kind of funny if you ever, there are some videos online that are showing me doing it, so it's pretty funny. But no, I have no background doing that. But the nice thing is we connected with a group called Techo, which means roof in Spanish, and these folks all taught us. So we all came in with no knowledge of how to build a house, and they taught us everything. So I thought maybe it would be like they would build everything and then they'd say paint that strip of wood right there, but it wasn't that. It was get up on the roof and start pounding it in and, put this, dig this hole with the post hole digger and do, I touched every part of the house and did something with it. So it was kind of crazy.
Now, you mentioned a compost toilet.
Yeah.
The only ones I have ever seen is on that show Tiny Houses, where people have a small toilet because they don't have plumbing.
Right.
What was it like in Guatemala? What were you creating?
Well, in Guatemala, we just did the houses, but in Colombia is where we learned how to make the toilets, and I really think I want to bring it here somehow and maybe help a farm or something. But basically, a compost toilet, to explain it in quick terms, it's like a regular toilet. It would be, you would look at it and it looks like a seat, and there's a seal on it, and you take the seal off and you put the seat down, do your business, and then you take a handful of wood chips and you put it down on it, and you put the seal back, and that's it. So there's no flushing, there's no water, but what happens is underneath, it turns into wonderful soil. I mean, soil that I literally later put my hand in and was like, oh, smells good. I mean, can you, bare hand? Sounds crazy, but there's a process that happens, and obviously you don't take the fresh stuff, but the older stuff, there's a door in the back, and they open up the door and they take all this fresh soil and they use it for their crops.
That is incredible. And you mentioned bringing that to Ohio. How would we use that here?
Well, I think that there are some farms, and certainly they would be more open to such a thing. And anywhere where they can't have plumbing, but they need, the facilities, so to speak, this would be good. So I think I'd love to help someone do that, and if anybody were interested, any of your people who are watching, I would be the first to help them, because it's really economical. And then when you think of the fact that it's using your waste instead of just putting your waste into the water that we drink. I mean, when I learned about it, it made just a world of sense.
So if there's a viewer out there watching that would like to go on a trip, a mission trip, how would they do it with your group?
With our group, well, first of all, if they could become a youth ambassador, they'd have to apply to do that. There are some criteria that have to be met. Or they could be like myself and volunteer and be crazy and say, I'm coming. But, you pay for your own ticket in your own way. We encourage anyone and everyone to join us because it's such a great experience.
And the web address?
And the web address for Chime In is chimein.org.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nancy. We're looking forward to checking out that website. We'll be right back with more Mind, Body, and Spirit.